Hey guys, what's up? It is Tuesday evening, 7:45 p.m. Pacific time, and yep, as I guess you could say the category says here, just chatting a little bit on this Tuesday evening. Mainly talking about basically, something that I've talked about before, and yeah, I talked about this. This is one of the last things I talked about on YouTube and converted to an audio for my BW Roses Discussions podcast. And that is, basically, why are invisible women, why are female characters, why female characters are written to have more fun and be silly when given, the invisibility powers and everything. And, you know, I like I said, I brought this up in the video slash podcast, and the person that inspired me to do this, who has a channel dedicated to invisible women, clips and all that, which the YouTube channel is called Invisible Women All My Love. He actually responded back and liked what I had to say when it came to the whole situation with the women. As a matter of fact, if I can find it, I don't know if it's here somewhere, but if I can find it, I'll read it to you. And I do apologize for any interruptions that may occur. So I do apologize for that. That may occur. So okay, here we are. So we're going to look at the comments, and let's see. I don't know why it's not there. Oh, there it is. There. I don't know why it wasn't there. But this is what he responded to me 10 hours ago. Because I did the video like 3 days ago, and already it is one of my highest rated videos in just a couple of days. It's like almost 125, 130. And I know that's not much, but still. This is just going... this is just a video that, as you guys that have been following me on YouTube, anybody that has followed me on YouTube at BW Roses, that's probably going to find me here over on Twitch. They know, people know that I'm a guy that just does this off. I do videos most of the time without any scripts. I'm unfiltered, I'm uncut. I just say what it is. I just say what's on my mind. And if there's a topic I want to talk about, I will talk about it. And like I said, Landrar, I think that's the name, Landrar, or Invisible Women All My Love on YouTube. He inspired me to do this video because he had all these different clips. And one of the clips he had was from season 6, the 11th episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and this is like the second to last season of that show. And the episode is called Gone, and in the episode, she, gets accidentally hit by a ray that turns her invisible, and she decides to have fun with it. She's like, going out, having fun, just enjoying herself because she's. I think the storyline is she's so tied down with everything going on. She's so tied down with everything going on that she, just feels like she's not having fun anymore, and now she's having fun because of this. She's letting loose. She even, as I mentioned in the original video slash podcast, she goes over to her friends, kind of shows them, hey, look what's happened to me. Oh, wait, you can't really see what's happened to me because you can't see me. She starts having fun by moving little objects around, making like little eyeballs and all that, and bringing a skull around, making it talk, whatever, or pantomiming what one of her friends is saying. And then if that's not enough, you get the moment with her and Spike, where, they basically do it in bed. And it's kind of embarrassing to Spike because one of the other allies that they work with is looking for Buffy because basically he has to inform, he wants to, or basically, he has to inform her, that, hey, she's got to get back to normal soon because there might be consequences. And after that, Spike talks to Buffy, and Buffy basically goes out and explains to him, hey, she basically just says, hey, I'm having fun. I'm free of life. I'm free of responsibilities. I'm liberated. I can do whatever I want to do, you know. And even Spike points it out, like, hey, yeah, you can go around, do what you want, go anywhere you want, do anything you want, or anyone, so, you know, it's, but yeah, that one scene where basically they talk and Sabrina says that, not Sabrina, but Buffy says that, basically is very telling. It is very telling, in a way, because she, she basically is, she's letting, Spike know, in a way, that, she's wanting, that she just wants to be, she wants to be free again. She wants to have fun. She doesn't want to always be tied down, if you will. She doesn't always want to be tied down, if you will, by all these restraints, by all these orders, if you will. She doesn't want to have to keep dealing with that. That's what I'm saying. She doesn't want to have to keep dealing with that. So she wants to go out and, like I said, she wants to have fun. She wants to have fun, enjoy life and everything. And this unexpected opportunity in this episode has given her that. She's like, look, I'm not going to give this up. I'm going to have fun with it. And like I said, throughout she does. Throughout the episode, she does have fun. With with the situation that she's in. She does have fun with the situation that she's in and all that. And again, that's kind of what, again, got me talking and everything, kind of got me wondering and all that, if you will, like, basically, why is it, in these scenarios, and I say this with all due respect, no offense, why, is she, why do why do female characters, act that way? Why do they basically, act that way, act silly, why is it like when they have these kind of ability, these kind of opportunities, why do they let loose all of a sudden? Like, hey, I'm just gonna let loose. I'm gonna go cuckoo now, if you will, or just be very mischievous. Why is it? And it's not just with invisibility either. It's not just with invisibility either. It's also with, believe it or not, it's also with, when they get powers like I've mentioned before, like malleability, shapeshifting, and everything that comes with that, to where they can turn into anyone or anything, or melt into puddles of goo and everything if they want to. It's all there for them. It's all there for them to explore. So you have to you have to think to yourself. You have to ask yourself, like, why is it when they have these kind of powers that they go out and they do this? It's like, why do they go out and do this? That's the question. It's like, why why don't they show this side of them, as normally? And I think the reason is because I think, basically, as I've mentioned before, and I know I sound like I'm repeating myself, but as I've mentioned before, I think it unlocks something in them. It really does, and it unlocks something in them to where they're like, ooh, I can be fun. I can have some funny. I can do this. I can do that. I can be as silly, as I want to be, and no one can judge me. No one can, judge me or anything, because whenever else am I going to get this opportunity to do these kind of things. It's like when it's like when are they gonna? Hold on for a sec. I'm just trying to link this up. Hold on. Hold on, guys. This is what happens when you live with family. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Yes, putting that on Twitter. I do apologize for any lag as well. But anyway, what was it? Oh yeah. All right. Like I said, it's weird. Okay, let me start off. All right. What I'm saying is it's kind of weird, if not unique, that you have these kind of scenarios happening. Now, one thing that Invisible Women All My Love brought up in the comment, and I'm going to bring that back up right now, because I didn't get a chance to read that to you, so let me read it to you right now. This is what they said, and I quote, in response, they said, "Glad to have given the idea, but I really watched the video and I really agree with what you said. I never thought of it about it, or never thought about it. I never thought it about it. But the whole ideal section and the way we look at women checks out. It's the same reason with invisible men. Always seem to be crazy psychopath assassins because we think about men as more brutal and angry. This was a really interesting point, and I also liked how you used many examples to prove it. And that's pretty much what he said right there. And he's got a point, if you will. He's got a point on that, because again, even he sees it, if you will. Even he sees it that when these women have these fictional female characters have these powers, temporary or permanent, invisibility, shapeshifting, or whatever, they tend to be more mischievous. They tend to be more fun. They tend to be more creative, innovative, and all that, because they have a very imaginative, active mind, if you will. And to me, I think that's why anytime this kind of a trope, invisibility trope, shape-shifting trope, whatever, gets utilized, it's always, and again, I say this with all due respect, no offense, it's always the women that get, it's always the women that, have these abilities given to them. Like I said, even if it's temporary or not, they always have, these powers given to them, for whatever, for the sake of the plot, but also to kind of, in my opinion, show a side of them that normally we probably wouldn't see elsewise, if you will. We wouldn't see elsewhere. Otherwise, not elsewise, but otherwise, I should say. We wouldn't see it like that. We wouldn't. I mean, here's the thing. For anybody that watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the series, and even watched the movie that it was based on, did Buffy, Kristen Swanson's version or Sarah Michelle Gellar's version, did either one of those Buffys ever seem like, okay, I'm going to be, I want, just out of the blue decide, you know what, for this, story, I'm just going to act silly and goofy and all that for no reason? Did you ever see that? Because I don't think you did. But as soon as she gets invisibility, what happens? She ends up basically getting silly. She ends up basically going and being different than what you're normally used to seeing. That's what she does. She becomes sillier. She basically brings out a side of her that you normally would not see. You normally wouldn't know about or anything. You know, you wouldn't normally know about that or anything. But yeah, she brings out a side of herself that you wouldn't know of. You wouldn't like care about or anything, but yet or even think she would bring out, but yet here you are. Here you are with it, and it's it's amazing that that's the direction they go in. I mean, I'll put it to you like this too. I'll put it to you like this too. Okay. Um, going back to the shapeshifting and everything. Okay, going back to that. Going back to that and everything. Going back to the shapeshifting. All right. Let's go back to that. Let's go back to that. Security camera wasn't working properly. There we go. I have to reset my camera here. Yeah, the camera I think froze. The security camera. But anyway, like I was saying, basically going back to the shape shifting deal. There have been several stories that I've seen in animation, in comics, and everything, to where the character that gets the shape shifting powers, they have fun. They have fun with it, or they try to have fun. But the character that shapeshifts them, or gets the but the gender that has the most fun with that power is the female gender. They get it. They have more fun because just like with invisibility, they are they have more creative. They have more creative. You know. What? Oh, sorry, a distraction there. My mom gets really into the game. I think it's the only connection she has with my brother-in-laws. To relate on. Anyway, like I was saying, what was I saying? Oh yeah, sorry. Told you it's one of those it's one of these situations you got to work around when you live with people. But again, you look at like with the female characters when they get the power. Just like with invisibility, they are more They overall have a more creative sense of what to do. More mischievous, more innovative, more inventive, if you will, more creative, more imaginative. They have all those traits, and that is why I think studios. I think that's why, studios, movie or television. I think that's why. I think that's why, for stories for comics sometimes, I think this is why they go with the female lead or co-lead, if you will, in a story to be given these powers, because they are more creative. They are more, more creative, more imaginative on what to do with them, and if at times more mischievous. You see that. You see that. In in the in the stories and everything. You see that, And you know, like I said, there are various examples. I mean, heck, I'll go to Nickelodeon for example. When they did the Secret World of Alex Mack, you know, when they did that series, honestly, they they knew what they were doing. I mean, they had a good story, to start out with. They had a good plot and everything. And for the first couple of seasons, they allowed Alex, when the opportunity presented itself, to have fun with her powers. You know, mostly her morphine.
There was this. If you want to go check around the mailbox, make sure I didn't drop any mail, because I don't know if there was something in there. I think it was okay. Just check around the cars, make sure they're locked. I locked them, but just check the car. You don't have to open the doors, just look. They're locked. They're locked. Just check around me, because it's daylight out. Right?
Okay.
I want to check to see, make sure I didn't drop anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about that. I'll be right back. No. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. That's what happens when you live stream. Heck, I've followed people on YouTube like Just Alex of Alex's World, JD, Solomonster, and they go live and they get unexpectedness. They'll get interrupted by family or the pets will walk across their desk or something. So I do apologize for that. And you might be saying, well, why didn't she? Or you might be asking, well, why didn't she knock? Here's the thing. It's a trait my mom inherited. My grandpa used to do it, so now she does it. And I'm sure her sisters and brother do it too. It's just a trait. It's a family trait that she can't get rid of. Put it that way. But yeah, it's one of those situations. I do apologize. So, heck, even Zara Nazarak, who I think is live right now too, in the Multimedia Chronicles, he gets interrupted as well. So, again, I do apologize for that. I do apologize. So, hold on for a second, guys. Again, like I said, I do apologize for that. But anyway, what was I? Oh yeah, like I said, you look at the Secret World of Alex Mack. When that show was on Nickelodeon. Basically, she had these powers. One of the most popular powers fans like seeing her use was her morphing into a liquid power. And for the first couple of seasons, whenever they wanted to, even up to the last season, they let you know they let her have they let her have fun with her powers. You know, like I said, from the first couple of seasons up to the last, even at times in the last season, she would have fun with her powers. Sometimes she would like there's one episode, I don't know if it's the first or second season. She's in a pool party, and there's a boy that's being a brat or being mischievous, being a bully a little bit or picking on others, and she decides, okay, I'll get even with him. I'll teach him a lesson. And what does she do? She looks around, makes sure nobody's seen, and she morphs and merges with the water. She becomes one with the water. She has fun with it. And then I think it's in the same season where she merges with the water again, and she becomes like the temporary like little fountain or something like that to help her mom out or something like that. But then later on, as her powers got more evolved, she was able to morph and not only blend with water again, but also, in a way, she was also able to have fun with her sister. Like there's an episode where she morphs her sister into the living room and into her room and stuff. So, there were times that she had these powers, and like I said, even though there was an overall story to it, um, even though there was an overall story to it and everything, she, she basically, when the opportunity would be presented in the story, she would have fun with these powers. And it wasn't just her powers of, blasting, lightning or lasers out of her finger and all that. No. It was the morphine power. It's the power to turn into liquid. She had fun with that, when they gave her the opportunity. And I think that's why she became very popular in the eyes of a lot of fans, because of the fact that she did that, the fact that she had the opportunity to, when it was presented to her in story, to go out and do that. So she would get a little silly and everything, she would get a little silly. Hold on for a second. Hold on. Like I said, she would get a little silly at times, with those powers when it was all presented to her, mostly in the first couple of seasons and somewhat during the last season. There's no doubt about that. No getting around that whatsoever. And when I look at other examples, and I know this is going long, and I do apologize because, like I said, I'm doing this while my mom's watching the Giants game right now, and because of what just happened a little bit ago, so I do apologize. I have my security camera on, so I want to see what's going on there. Make sure if I'm going to get interrupted, that I stay a step ahead. But anyway, as I was saying, basically, other examples are like those I follow on YouTube or those I'm following on DeviantArt. Like on DeviantArt, there's Mr. Internet Man with his character Demonica Veronica, and storyline-wise, Veronica has a reason. She, inherited mysteriously this lipstick called Nightshade that after applying it over time, it's basically become part of her now. It's basically blended into her DNA. So now she just has to think about being, her alter ego Demonica, or she has to think about shape-shifting into, whatever, melting into goo or whatever, shape-shifting into whoever she wants, splitting into whoever she wants, splitting into maybe, and that's it. She's good to go. That's how far her character has come. I look at Michelle, known as Desi Arts over on DeviantArt, and she has several stories about this. One of them is her main story called Metamorphosized to Malleability, and the character of Briella, and having these kind of powers to where she could shapeshift into whatever she wants, melt into goo and all that, mostly goo sometimes. But mainly she also has fun with the powers, and sometimes sometimes Briella will have very naughty fun, if you know what I mean, with her fiance Crystal. There have been several examples of that. I can tell you that right now. Several examples. Um, you know, the other thing as well, basically, the other thing as well is our other artists like Trouble TRO or Joven16 or Nextstat over on Patreon and on DeviantArt, because they all have the shape shifting, you I guess you could say the shape shifting fetish, if you will, to them as well, because there are several stories that they have done, along with other ones they're doing, that center around that. Like one of Trouble TRO's primary stories is Pink Benefits. It involves two friends that have become and gain the power of shape shifting and everything, and yeah, they do get it on at times, depending on what the story asks for. But their powers have evolved so much to where not only can they become anyone or anything, but they can melt into puddles of goo, and sometimes melting into a puddle of goo, they can blend themselves into, let's say, the environment, if you will. Another example is a recent one that I'm hoping Trouble TRO will come back and visit, which is Science Experiment. Well, basically, you have these two middle-aged scientists, drinking this formula made out of this mysterious meteorite, and it not only gives them the power to shapeshift, but also turn and become basically slime girls, if you will. They become slime girls to the point that they can melt down, shapeshift, whatever. And at the end, one of the doctors, or one of the scientist ladies, shapeshifts into a car, while the other one shapeshifts into I guess you could say, night seductress that rides the car to whatever destination they're going to. You have that. You have Joven16, who does this as well. And one of the stories he's coming back to soon is Nano Shift. He left that on a cliffhanger, so I don't know where he's going with that. But there were times in Nano Shift when the main character of Jay, that's JAE, when she got these powers due to nanotechnology, she could turn into liquid puddles of goo and all that. But she can also split herself into two different women, get it on with herself, if you will, and as well as shapeshift into a car, to a vehicle, so that others can ride, or get to their destinations quicker. Stuff like that. Nextstat did this as well with things like Unconventional and Unconventional 2. And every single one of them, involved the main characters being female. Now there was one story. There was one story called Side Effects, where the main character was actually male, but most of the time they kept themselves female. So in other words, by default, they were a shape-shifting female, even though they were actually male. So by default, because they always kept a female form, it's like, okay, here you go. But yeah, the one common thing here is all the main characters, except for the one in Side Effects, were all female. And the one main thing we would see out of it is all of them, when the opportunity most of the time would present itself, have fun with each other. They would have fun. In fact, there was one story, let me see if I can bring it up without any incident or anything, which I do apologize for if there's any lag. But if I bring it up here on Patreon, there is one story that I think Trouble TRO did. I don't know. Was it Trouble TRO or was it Joven16? It might have been Joven16. Now that I think about it, let me go to them. Instead, let me go to them. Well, maybe not right now because it's loading. And anytime the computer loads, it slows down the internet. I don't know why. Do you guys know why? Let me know. Anyway, what was I? Oh yeah, getting back to this. Hopefully, going to Joven16. And let me see if it comes up quickly. Okay, there's Side Effects. I'm not going to show you that because I can get in trouble and everything. Let's see. Let's see. I'll go over here to shapeshifting to this category. See what they got here. Hold on. Hold on. I know it's in here somewhere. Ah, there it is. It's called Amanda and Nicole. It's called Amanda and Nicole. And basically, these friends had these powers for quite some time. And at the end of it, at the end of the story, if you will, at the end of the Amanda and Nicole story, they basically fused together into one. They were having fun with the powers. And then I think it was Nicole that decided, hey, let's take it a step further, and they became one person. Now, whether or not that, situation, stays permanent, it's totally up to them. Or it's totally up to Joven 16, I should say, in what direction they want to go with Amanda and Nicole. But it's the same thing with Nanoshift. Joven 16 never went back to Nanoshift for a while because not only did they have other projects, but also the fact that I think, honestly, they were stuck on what can I do for, a resolution to this cliffhanger that I have, because the way Nanoshift, Nanoshift's recent run ended was the main character, Jay, had completely, I guess you could say, lost control, got a little confused. And next thing we know is she's just a puddle of goop on the ground. So we don't know if the next time it resumes the story, that is, of Nanoshift, if we'll see her back to normal, time had passed. We don't know if maybe she'll just be in a container where she's floating around. She's still, coherent, but she can't really say anything because, she's just floating around like, let's say, a lava lamp in a tube. We don't know. But again, the reason Joven 16 never had a chance to really bring it back, quicker is because I think he got stuck on okay, what's the resolution going to be, and hopefully he doesn't get that way with Amanda and Nicole, in the fusion there. Hopefully what happens is, time passes and, the powers have developed so much to where they could separate and come back together whenever they want, But yeah, again, the common denominator here is all these women that get these kind of abilities from shape-shifting to invisibility and all that, they just like to have fun. They like having fun. I mean, going back to the Buffy thing, from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, she's having fun there and all that. Even when, I think what's his name, Xander, comes to visit, Spike to know about Buffy's whereabouts, Xander's not even aware that she's there in the bed with Spike. And, Spike's trying to cover up, oh, I'm just doing some exercises and everything. And Xander, of course, you'd have to, have to really, put yourself in his shoes, be like, really exercise in bed while you're naked? Well, it looks like you're thrusting a woman, but the woman's not there, and she's having fun. Like when they're talking, Buffy wants to continue, getting it on with Spike. She's groping him. She's sucking on his what, and everything. She's just having fun. She's just letting loose and everything. And again, and it's right after this, as I mentioned earlier, and I mentioned in the previous video audio, that, she is just, she finally just lets me know, hey, I'm free. As long as I'm this way, I'm free to be whatever I want, to do whatever I want, when I want, be whatever I want, kind of deal. And that's pretty, and, you can't argue, with her in that logic. Like, if you could have that ability, even temporarily, to, be, to be invisible and all that, or shapeshift into whatever or who you want, or whatever or whoever you wanted, you would take advantage of it too. You would have fun with it too, because it's not every day you would get this opportunity. You wouldn't. And, honestly, I think that's a good, I think honestly her saying that line to me is the best example, verbally of why the female character. Again, no offense when I say this. No offense. All due respect, no offense. Why the female character always gets cast in that role when these kind of stories come up. I mean, even RoboCop, even the new RoboCop animated series that was out in the the late 90s, early 2000s, called RoboCop Alpha Commando. There was a villainous character called what's her name? Elsa Lustig. She was kind of like a Russian spy for an organization known as Dark, if you will. And there was an episode called H2O, and the Dark organization, had developed a formula that when she doused it on herself, because it got snuck into her, allowed her to turn into water and be one with the water, and basically shapeshift, melt down, and all that. And she had fun with it. I mean, heck, there was a line in the episode where, when she's being told, that, after she says she's the most powerful person in the world, she's told, well, at least you are for another 24 hours, and then she argues, her line is, oh, why does it have to wear off? Could no scientists make it permanent? I'm having so much fun. And that right there, even from an animation standpoint, tells you why, in a way, why these characters, why female characters, live action or animated, movie or television, comic books or whatever, why they get chose to have these powers. Because they have more fun. They're more relatable to have fun and, be creative and be mischievous with these abilities. And, again, going back to what, what's his name? Invisible Women on My Love, who, that's the name of the YouTube channel, but going back to what they said, technically, again, they said it's the same reason for which invisible men always seem to be seen as crazy psychopath assassins, because we think about men as brutal and angry. So what he's saying is that on the opposite end, if you will, when a male character gets these abilities, shapeshifting, invisibility, or whatever, that instead of having fun with it, they'll use it for other means. They'll use it to carry out jobs, or do this or do that, which is not fun, which is not mischievous, which is not imaginative or creative. It's more like it's for business, and that's why I'm going to do it, or I'm going to take this power, to get revenge and everything, and that's not the case. When the women get it, because when the women get it in these shows, in these movies, animated or live action, it's more about, ooh, how much fun can I have with these? What kind of mischief can I get into? What can my imagination take me here? How creative can I get? That's their mindset. And again, not only is that their mindset and everything, but that's why they're chosen. I mean, okay, let me put it to you like this. There's an old anime, and even though the female character is an android, if you will, or a cyborg android, whatever, that's there to take care of the main male character, if you will. Even though she's there to take care of him, he has a remote, like a little cylinder remote, and when he presses it, she turns into different things, but she can also do that on her own. And I think that's called Phoenix 2772, that's the anime. But why do you think they chose her? And of course, this is Japan, so the answer should be obvious. But still, why do you think they chose her, even if it was American? Because if she can do it on her own, she can be innovative and imaginative, if you know what I mean. She can be. Again, I look at the fact, and I stick with this. I've always believed that the female character gets these powers. Hold on for a sec. Hold on. But like I said, I always have this belief that the female character gets these powers because they're more creative, the more innovative, the more imaginative, and the more mischievous. Unlike the men, who could be that way depending, how the story goes, but most of the time are more like, ooh, how can I use this power of invisibility to peep in on the women who in the ladies' locker room, or how can I use this power of invisibility to get even with my enemies, get back at them, or carry out my job. It's like, the difference is night and day. It is. I mean, even if the man had the power of shapeshifting, and one of the things, as I mentioned about side effects by Joven 16, even if they had the ability to shapeshift from a man to a woman, sooner or later, the females are going to find out who it is, and they're going to be mad. And it's going to be like the only reason they turn themselves into a female is to not only know what it's like to be a female, but to also spy on the other females without them possibly being suspicious. So, honestly, it's, again, it's not hard to kind of really figure out when you put all the dots and everything together for these, for this kind of a scenario. It really isn't. Why do you think reports have gone out, even before the writer's strike happened, that, one of the upcoming female-led comedies being put into works is The Invisible Woman? Why do you think that is? Because they know she could be more, they know that the female lead could be more creative and mischievous with those kind of powers, and they can get more laughs out of it. They can get more laughs out of it. Why do you think the reports going around of a female-led Plastic Man movie, which could be a Plastic Woman movie? Because if they go the Plastic Woman route, it shows that they are more, it shows that they see more potential in the female character having these abilities. The female character having more fun with this, and the audience getting more of a laugh. And how, mischievous and creative and imaginative a Plastic Woman instead of Plastic Man can be, as the lead in a story. So, to me, studios out there, movies, television, comic book publishers, they understand, they see that there's more value in female characters getting the ability to be invisible or shapeshift than there are men. They see that. And they see that not only is there more value in it, but they also see that women could have more fun with it. And that fans, male and female, kids and non-kids, are more attractive to that kind of storytelling. And it kind of brings more money in, if you will. But again, it's the difference between the male characters getting it and the female characters getting it is night and day. It's night and day. There's no denying that whatsoever. And again, Hollywood sees that. Hollywood studios, they see that. Whenever this strike is over on both ends of the spectrum, they, some of these projects that I've mentioned that they're working on will not only get back into the full swing of things. What?
Come and open this jar of pickles. I want a pickle. I'm going to give you one. And I'll make, I don't know. I have
Hold on, I'll be right back. Yeah.
The chicken's in there still. I was going to make a sandwich out of the croissant. Soja drapes. I was trying to get a pickle.
Sorry about that. This is, like I said, this is what happens when you live with family. You know what I'm saying, or with your parents. But what was it? Oh yeah. Basically, long story short, as I mentioned, this is why, again, as I was saying, you do not think that when these strikes get over in Hollywood, that the first thing that's going to happen is these movies, these productions that I talked about, will not go into full gear. They will. They will, because they're not going, because they're going to want to get these out of the way and try to make some massive money off them. Before something like this, before something like another strike occurs. That's what's going to happen. So, and again, the reason, the reason they're going in the direction with, an Invisible Woman comedy, as well as a female-led plastic man, plastic woman film, is again, they know the value. They see the value in the female gender and a female character having these abilities, because they know they can get more laughs out of them than they can with a male, if you will. Hold on for a sec. But like I said, they can see that. They can see that and they understand it. Same with comic books. Same with, the people I've mentioned that are, OG, up and coming artists themselves, like Trouble TRO, Joven 16, Nextstat, Dizzy Arts, and so on. They see the potential. They see that people are more intrigued by the female lead being in these, having these abilities than the male. They see it. They see that people are more intrigued by that because they know that's going to attract the person to watch or read or invest more, because they might get some silliness out of it. They might get some mischievousness out of it. They might get some naughty fun out of it, if you will, or so on. They'll get something out of it that they will enjoy, that they will take home and say, yeah, this, or they will take home with them, or they will remember and say, yeah, I want, and tell themselves, yeah, I want more of this. I want more of this in the near future. And and if, let's say, the creator sees that, like Trouble TRO sees that, Desi Art sees that, or whoever, they'll say, hey, they want more of this, and they want it to go in this direction with the female. Not a problem. We'll do that. And that is basically, at the end of the day, why female genders always get chosen for the invisibility trope more so than the men. Why they get chosen more so, this is why they get chosen for the shape-shifting trope more than the men. Because they know basically people will be more invested, and they know that from, a personality standpoint, people look at the women as being more mischievous, creative, inventive, imaginative, and so on. They see that. Because, the difference is night and day between the men. Because if men had it, they would see men just using it to be peeping toms. They'd be using it to get even with the enemies, be more brutish, whatever. And that's not appealing. And they would also look at it like, oh, well, if men get it, it's more of a horror-like perspective story-wise, than when a woman gets it. If you know what I mean. Oh, okay. Eating a pickle. But anyway, they see that. They see that being that night and day, and everything, and that, again, like I said, they would relate men having these kind of abilities, as being more for horror than a woman, because woman's more like for the romance. The woman is more like, not saying they couldn't be for horror, but they're more like rom-com, romantic comedy, or laugh out loud comedy, or whatever, and everything. They see the big difference in what is more appealing in everything. Why do you think sometimes when they did do movies like this, like Hollow Man and all that, why do you think it didn't succeed? Because even though it was a great concept for a horror film or a sci-fi thriller film, nobody cared because It was just male character goes insane, goes on murderous rampage. They did not care. They didn't. And honestly, you know, when they see, the difference, like when a woman does it, like again, you can't tell me that when they did the episode in Buffy for comedic purposes, let's be honest, that's why they did it. They didn't do it because they knew, hey, well, what if Buffy had these powers? Oh, she can have fun with it. She'll have fun with it. Why do you think that's mostly always the thing? The woman has fun with it. Or has comedic tendencies with it, even if unintentionally. It's because, again, the difference on the mindset is the female is more mischievous, more imaginative, more creative, more basically, more likely to have fun with it than the male, and that's the truth. I know it's a hard pill to swallow, but it's the truth. It really is, and I think a lot of us just have to, come to accept that. As I just checked something here. Hold on, guys.
That as well.
Okay, sorry, I just had to check something. But like I said, I know it's a hard pill to swallow. It's a hard truth to swallow, but it's a fact. And again, comic book publishers that do stories like this, they know that. When studios do movies or shows with concepts like this, concepts like that, they know concepts like this. They do it because they know that's what's more appealing. That's what will attract people more. End of discussion. End of discussion. So anyway, that's how I see it. That's why what I said in the original video, I believe is fact. Asking the question why female characters are written to have more fun and be silly when given, these kind of powers, is because of the fact that unlike the males, unlike us guys, the women are more imaginative, more mischievous, more creative, more idealistic, and they have more fun with it. That's what they do. That's what they do. Again, the various examples I used, from an OG creative standpoint on DeviantArt and Patreon, those characters created by Trouble TRO, Joven16, Nextstat, Mr. Internet Man, Desi Arts, they're written because of the fact that not only do the powers, the powers and abilities, okay, I got distracted. Let me rewind. What I'm saying is their characters are written not only because their powers are related to the plot of the story, but mainly because they know their characters will have fun with those powers and be mischievous, creative, and imaginative, and all that. That's why they have those powers, instead of the men, instead of male characters. That's just a fact of life. That's why Buffy had her moment in her episode. That's why China Phillips' character in The Invisible Kid, that you see on the upper right-hand corner in the middle, had her moment, and everything. In the moments Invisible Woman's 1983 and 1983 film and 1940 film, and of course the moment in Fantasy Island and Sue Storm in Fantastic Four's 2005 film. They had these moments because they know people get a kick out of them, and it shows that the women will be more mischievous, creative, and have fun with the situation. And again, that's just a fact. That's just a fact we have to face. So, and it's a reality. It's a reality, if you will. And if you don't believe me, check out what I've talked about for an example, and you'll see exactly what I'm saying. And you'll see that, hey, he's got a point. He's got a point. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are down. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are when you get an opportunity. If there's a comment section, go ahead and comment in there and everything. I do apologize for a lot of the interruptions. Again, this is what happens when you do live streams, when you're living with your parents or your family. But guys, check me out over at my Patreon. You also get an audio version of this at my BW Roses, well, not audio, but audio and video, or video mostly, at my BW Roses Discussions podcast. That's on Spotify, but other podcast affiliates, but mostly on Spotify. It helps me out big time with the ambassador ads. Also check out my Teespring store and check me out at DeviantArt.com at BVW 1979. But guys, until then, I will talk to y'all later. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you think I have a point. And until then, I'm out.